right, good morning and welcome everybody. I still have a few people that are trying to log in, but I'd like to say good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Morning.
A little chilly out there today, but I'll take the sunshine. All right, it's just a few minutes after 9, so I guess we'll get started, and we have a few more people that are trying to log on. But good morning, everyone, and thank you and welcome to this morning's coffee break with the Front Door Agency. The purpose of the coffee break is to share with you some of the exciting and positive things that are happening here at the Front Door. This month, our Housing Stability Program Manager, Doug Howard, will give us an update on local families that are facing homelessness as a result of COVID-19 and how we're helping them. Doug?
Hi, how's everyone today? Again, my name is Doug Howard. I'm the Housing Stability Program Manager here at the Front Door. I appreciate Sherry, inviting me on, and I just want to give you a quick little talk about kind of what we're doing here over at the Housing Stability Programs. So let me share my screen. All right. So I will try my best not to bore you all to sleep, especially during this coffee break. I hope everyone has a good cup of black coffee. That's my favorite. Right now, I'm drinking water. I already had my giant cup of black coffee this morning while watching the news, so I'm completely caffeinated. It's my favorite thing in the world. So our mission at the Front Door Agency is to offer support and provide services to help individuals and families transition from crisis to self-sufficiency. So this is important for our housing stability programs because we're always looking for ways in which we can reach out to our local community members, our local organizations to figure out in what ways can we better support folks who are going through a potential tough time and to help them get back to a place where they can, make a better life for themselves, for their kids and their families. All right, okay. So we have a couple, when we focus on our mission in a couple of different ways. So we have several different programs under the housing stability umbrella. So our HARLIF program is essentially for individuals and families who need one-time assistance. So they may be coming to us. So someone may be coming to us with a really large bill from Eversource. So for instance, this past week, I worked with a young couple that just moved into a place, but they had a balance due. One of their parents had opened up an account in their name, and they didn't realize that they had a ton of debt already to Eversource. So they wanted to get rid of that debt. So although they didn't have much in the way of debt to their landlord, they had a huge debt to a utility company. So we assisted them in getting rid of some of that. Our ESG rapid rehousing money and our ESG prevention funds are through the Emergency Solutions Grant through the Bureau of Housing Support. So in the past, we've only been able to utilize $9,000 per individual or per family over a 9-month period. But those regulations have been loosened due to COVID-19. So during the pandemic, we've been able to utilize more funds over a 36-month period in order to help stabilize our families and communities. So for rapid rehousing, in order for someone to qualify housing-wise for rapid rehousing, they would need to be identified as someone who is homeless under HUD's definition. So anyone who is outside, in car, in shelter, or who is placed in a hotel or motel by a church or a municipal welfare office, not paying on their own. So what we do there is we work with local landlords in order to find solutions to get people back into housing in an effective and fiscally responsible manner. Under housing prevention, these are for individuals or families who are already in a place. So we're just essentially trying to prevent an eviction for a lot of these families. And for some of these families, especially during COVID, we had a number of folks that came to us with a ton of debt to their landlord, and in order to help them maintain their housing instead of having to go through the homeless assistance network, which could be more costly to us as a community. It's just more effective just to help pay off their debt and then help them stabilize, get back to work, or help them find an income source that can help them sustain their household more long term. The SGIA prevention is for individuals who, so is essentially our fund money. So we can really use this money for whatever we really need it to. So this year especially has been really beneficial for us, for individuals who own houses. So one of the barriers that homeowners face, especially when going to a place like a city welfare or a municipal welfare office, is that if they go and ask for assistance to pay on their mortgage, the city or their town is going to have to put a lien on their home. And we want to try to obviously avoid that whenever possible. So in order to help out some of those families, we've been able to utilize these funds, and it's come in real handy for us as of late. And then Shattuck Place is an apartment complex that we own here in Nashua. And we have a number of families that are there who either came out of homelessness themselves or were in a situation where they just needed some more affordable type housing. And next. All right, here we go. Fun times with PowerPoint. So just to give you some numbers for our housing prevention program, just to give you an idea of how many people we saw, and these numbers were from July 2020 to December 31st, 2020. So in that time, we saw 142 participants through a number of different towns in our communities and in our greater Nashua COC area. So I want to bring that up because our service area is actually very big. So we can assist people from Pelham to the east of us out to Peterborough west of us. One of the things that I would like to do moving forward as we go forward in the next couple of years is I want to make sure that people in those smaller towns that might not have recognized that they can receive assistance from us know how to reach out to us. I think that it's great that we had a family from New Ipswich reach out to us. That's a town that we typically don't see anyone from. So it means that our reach is getting out there. I just think we can do a better job, and I can do a better job outreaching to municipal welfare offices and different organizations in those smaller towns. For reparative housing, again, I think one of the things that I need to do is I need to do a better job in terms of doing outreach to some of the outskirt towns outside of Nashua, because we're really well known here in this area. But I think, getting out into places, Milford, New Ipswich, Peterborough, Lindenborough, those smaller areas I think could be really beneficial for us moving forward. But we helped out 9 households. We helped to rehouse 9 households within that time frame, again, from July 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2020. to give you some perspective on how much we've been able to put back out to the community, these are the total numbers of how much money we've been able to spend. And I also want to bring this up because I think it's important to recognize that this money doesn't go straight into the hand of the tenant. This goes to our local landlords, to our local business owners, and we want to respect the fact that a lot of these individuals, have families to feed on their own, and they have mortgages to pay, and they have rent to make. So it's important to make sure that we take care of our local landlords just as much as we take care of our tenants. So this is something that I feel that we do really, really well. We've been able to forge some really great relationships with landlords over the past year or so, especially during the pandemic, and something that I'm extremely proud of. One other thing that we do, and my good friend Julie Smiley is on the call with us. She runs our security deposit assistance program, and what she's been able to do has been fantastic. So again, over that same time frame from July to December, she helped rehouse 23 families through our security deposit assistance program, and we're extremely proud of what she's been able to do and her ability to work with local landlords and explaining what and how her program can benefit not just the tenant, but benefit the landlord as well by getting money back into their hands. So with that program, security deposit isn't always given straight up to the landlord. It gives the tenant the ability to pay off the security deposit slowly over time, whether that's a year or 2 years. And if something were to happen, we have the guarantee to the landlord that we have those funds so that they can reach out to us if the tenant defaults on that. And just to give a couple of outcomes for families that receive prevention assistance and exit program with the sustainable housing plan, we're about an 81% rate. So there were 49 total households between Harlif and the general prevention program. The numbers before also included, so the housing prevention numbers that I showed earlier also included the ESG prevention families. So we had to take some of those families out because they're not necessarily part of those outcomes, just for clarification purposes. But we're excited that we've been able to help out 49 families, and for 40 of them to come away with a real actionable plan to move forward, I think is really, really awesome. So as many of you know, and I recognize a couple of faces on this Zoom call, I'm sure we're all very aware of the lack of housing that we have in this state. Especially in the greater Nashua area and also over on the Seacoast. I know that Nashua and the Seacoast kind of trade off as the most expensive places to live in the state. But here in the greater Nashua area, market rate for Nashua right now for a 2-bed unit is just over $1,500. My two bed unit when I lived in Manchester in about 10 years ago now was $900. If I had a rent that was $1,500 back then, there was absolutely no way that I could afford that on my salary. So it's incredible to see how big a jump in terms of rent and how much housing costs over just a few years really has been. One of the other barriers that we see is mental health. Something that we really take seriously over at the front door is, making sure that we connect people to mental health services whenever possible. Having those conversations with individuals about how to access services, I think is very important, especially since we have some great relationships with organizations like the Greater Nashua Mental Health Center, being able to work with our partners over there and getting people connected and figuring out how to outreach people appropriately and with respect to them as an individual is really important. And the same goes for substance use and misuse. I've had recently to have some pretty serious conversations with individuals who wanted to access our programs. It's not necessarily a barrier to entering one of our programs, but I think it needs to be something that's out in the open as to, what our expectations are, and to make sure that they know those individuals who are dealing with and are experiencing substance abuse and misuse, they know that we're there for them when they are ready to make a change, if and when they're ready to make a change. And sometimes there's a lack of willingness to work a program. It happens, we just gotta take it for what it's worth. Sometimes people talk a really good game, and then, a couple months into it, we realize, hey, this isn't a good fit. And, it is what it is, and I can respect that. And again, it's all about, just communicating with the client that we're still willing to help them out. We just got to make sure that we're doing it in a responsible manner. And then for some people, it's just an inability to navigate area systems. So the one thing I really appreciate about Nashua is that it's actually a pretty easy area to navigate for most people. We have a great provider network here. I feel like our community partners do a really good job of referring folks to us. And I feel like we do a good job if we're not able to assist someone in referring out to our partner agencies. We all kind of have a general idea of what we all do. And we want to make sure that we play nice in the sandbox together, so to speak, and make sure that, if we're not able to provide the proper service, I want to make sure that we get that person to the correct service for them. So.
I'd like to just jump in and also say I'm Marie Swerble, the director of the Front Door Agency. Welcome, everyone. I just would like to also mention that Doug, when he meets with each of his family members, there's case plans that are developed for each family. It's not just a handout of assistance. There's expectations with each family that they must follow. Doug spends a lot of time on budgeting with each family to ensure that they are going to be housing stable after the time they receive assistance. So that is the main goal of obviously our housing stability program, is that once they have received the assistance, that they're going to be able to maintain going forward. So that's the whole point of the program, and the mission of the program is to get them out of this crisis and hopefully that they can be empowered and independent once again. Our rapid rehousing program is a longer term program that can go over 6 months to even up to 2 years, where actually we're hoping that the families are progressing towards being able to be housing stable at the end of their term, and Doug will slowly reduce any rental subsidy over that time period, getting the family ready to be self-sufficient and maintain the housing on their own. So we've seen a lot this past year with COVID in particular of one-time assists, people who have just needed a little one-time hand up, if you will, to people who were struggling prior to the pandemic, and the pandemic really set them back even further. And with the less than 2% vacancy rate in Nashua, it's been a struggle for families, obviously with the $1,500 obviously a monthly rental rate as well. So it's going through all of that. It's just not an easy, there's a process that each family goes through with Doug. And Julie, as Doug mentioned, with our security deposit program has been busy too. Last fiscal year, we did over $90,000 in assistance with just security deposits. And we are fortunate, actually, we see over a 67% return rate on our security deposit payments, because again, it is a loan program. No interest or finance charges are assessed on the security deposit, and they have up to 2 years typically to repay that. And obviously, I'm sure our banking partners would love to see better numbers than 67%, but when you're dealing with the low income population that we see, 67% is one of the highest ones in the state that offers this program. And we're the only ones in Southern Hillsborough County that offers this security deposit assistance program. So just kudos to Julie and Doug for handling the changes that we've had with COVID, the new funding that we've received to help answer the issues with COVID. And one of the things we were able to do well is transition to online applications when COVID hit and we had to work remotely and so forth for a while. So.
Great.
Maurice,
Thank you.
this is Jim. May I ask a couple questions because I'm a newbie and this is just too good an opportunity?
Absolutely. That's what we want.
May we? Okay. So, hey, Doug, great job. Thank you so much. We met when I was in a couple weeks ago, and I'm looking forward to helping and trying to make a difference. But I do have a couple questions. First of all, all your report out, awesome, good insight. They're all kind of lagging indicators, though. Do we do anything with leading indicators, or are we just kind of operating under the assumption that there's some significant portion of the economy at any given time that is in bad shape, and therefore there are always going to be people that need help? But do we try to forecast in any meaningful way with leading indicators?
Actually, Jim, not really, no, because we work with the continuum of care, obviously, and we see the numbers, we see the vacancy rates. We work closely with New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority, looking at the projection of what the rental market's going to be. We know that Nashua is now getting a new affordable housing project that will be developed that just passed this past week. So we do monitor those items closely.
Okay. And when you say we monitor, kind of the renting environment, does that include what's going on in terms of inflation, so we can bake that into the plan for year over year? Because Doug's comment was right on. Hey, I used to rent something for X, and now it's a multiple of X, and we have to account for that.
Yep. No, actually, we don't really base it on that. A lot of times we base it on what the income, what the grant sources we're going to get, because a lot of times we're very limited on the funding that we receive.
Okay. Can I ask two more?
Well, one of the things that I deal with, especially when working with someone in rapid rehousing or ESG prevention funds, is I'm only allowed to assist up to a certain dollar amount. So if I find my
and that's a grant
many,
regulation.
Many numbers. Yeah. So for instance, in Nashua right now, again, I can only assist because of the fair market value. For a 2-bed unit, I can assist up to $1,500. Does that make sense financially for every single family? Probably not. Generally, the families that we see aren't going to be able to afford $1,500, in a year. Some may, but every family is different. We got to assess what's going to make the most sense for each individual family. And that's where, just being upfront and honest with one another, client, case manager, or individual really comes.
Hey, Doug, when you said that there are some greenfield opportunities out there, communities that are, we haven't really gotten into or potentially are underserved. When you target those communities and kind of going out to cultivate those greenfields, who do we target in our efforts? Is it the small town administrators or the churches, or who do we target in a fresh situation?
Well, one of the things that I've done in the past, done in the past is working with our local municipal welfare officers. So every town in New Hampshire has to have some sort of municipal welfare office. Whether it's a super small town like in New Ipswich, where they may have someone working part-time 1 day a week, or it may be Nashua, where they have an entire team of people that work 5 days a week and assist people on a more regular basis. They all meet very regularly. I believe it's once a month they have a municipal welfare kind of statewide meeting. I've spoken to that group in different roles in my past, and I think that would be something that I want to do coming up as we move forward into this year.
Yeah.
Is to, again, outreach to that group, because they're the ones that are going to be seeing the majority of individuals who are in need of housing assistance.
Yeah, I really
and
appreciate
Jim, the other place is the churches as well. We have reached out to the churches in the past in those communities, just to let them know if they have a parishioner or a member of their congregation that they know could use assistance to remember us.
I really appreciate you guys answering my questions because I've been a for-profit guy for the last 40 years. What do I know about this space? So I really appreciate it. And I have just one more, if I may. I don't want to monopolize the time. The last one is, Doug, you alluded to, sometimes despite everyone's best intentions, it just doesn't work out with, some clients. Any insights as to what some common or reoccurring factors might be in those instances? Is there anything discernible going in terms of, what it looks like when it doesn't work?
I think that, and this has just been what I've seen. It's not always the case, but lately what I've seen is that people have been so stressed out over finances. They've been so stressed out over just surviving on a day-to-day basis that those survival skills don't go away quickly. So if someone, let's say, is in shelter for an extended period, or they're on street for an extended period, it might not be the thought of, okay, well, how can I save, several $1,000s, 5 years from now, might not be on their mind. It might just be, okay, well, I just need to keep myself safe. I just need to keep my family safe tonight. And that's what I've seen has been a really hard habit to break for some of my families. One family in particular, has been really, they haven't been as forthcoming with some of our program, with our program asks as some other families. And again, I don't think any less of them. I think that it's just, they're just so programmed at this point to, be protective of what they have, and to not give away kind of their cards, if you will. So that's what I see.
Okay, that's really interesting, and I'm sure it doesn't make your job any easier. Thank you so much for answering those questions. I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Doug and Maurice. I thought what I'd do is tag along here with Julie Smiley. She works directly with Doug, and she's our housing advocate for the security deposit program. And she'd like to share with you a letter we received from someone who obtained services from the Front Door Agency most recently. Julie?
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all here today. Doug had received a letter recently, and here it is. It says, I am taking this time to express my feelings for an agency named Front Door. Let me start just by saying I am so appreciative to and of the staff for the assistance that they are willing to help provide. I am really not someone who likes to ask for help. And at the old school age of 61, I must say, going to the Front Door Agency and feeling welcomed as I did from the moment I was greeted by the receptionist, through the phone call conversations I had with Doug Howard, program manager, all I can say is thank you, especially in a time of when we all come together to understand. For King and Country, Together, the song by Kirk Franklin and Tori Kelly. I don't know who those people are, but that should be their theme song. Do we have a clip of the song we can play, or that should be the theme song. Sincerely grateful once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie. I also think that Nicole has the other letter that I'd like her to share with you. Nicole, could you do that for us?
Sherry, actually, that's the letter. Julie read the letter I have.
She did. Okay.
I can look up the recent letter if you'd like that Maurice sent out to the board. Do you want me to share that one, Maurice? Okay. Let's see. 1 second here. And welcome everyone. My name's Nicole. I'm the Director of Development. I'll share this letter with you, but one of the things I think we're really proud of is our direct service staff like Julie and Doug, is the amount of respect and the dignity that they treat these clients with. And I think by hearing both of these letters, that will really stand true to all of you. So to whom it may concern, I write this letter as a thank you to all of the staff at the Front Door Agency. We are a regular professional family who has never before been in the situation until this COVID-19 hit all of us. Due to the virus, I found myself without my job and in real need, shaking the stability of our family in ways I could not have predicted. We have never asked for assistance before and was not even sure how to go about doing such. I reached out to the Front Door Agency in hopes of some help or at the very least some guidance. I was assigned to Doug Howard to deal with my case. As someone who has never been in this situation, I was scared by these terms. However, I never once felt like my family was a case. The whole situation was very embarrassing for me, and yet Doug did everything to not make me feel embarrassed. It was a very rewarding process, making me and my family feel like we were important. Doug was extremely proactive in my situation and came at it from the point of trying to help instead of trying to find a reason not to help, which is what I would have assumed. Doug was extremely prompt in returning emails, and he would call to check in on us during the process to make us feel better about the whole situation. He truly opened my eyes to how the Front Door Agency works. I'm sure that doing this every day could become just a job to some. However, I write this to let you know that what you do has real world effects. This was life-changing to me and my family. You saved us from a terrible situation that could have included homelessness and did so in the most effective and empowering way. I would like to thank everyone at the Front Door Agency, especially Doug, for not just the assistance that you provided, but rather the way in which you provided it. You were more than professional to the point of feeling like you knew us. Our asking for assistance was more humbling than the needing of help, and we cannot express how much better we feel about ourselves due to the treatment I received from Doug in particular. I truly wish there was a way that I could explain how thankful we are and would be more than willing to speak to anyone in regards to my situation. With our sincerest thanks.
Way to go, Doug.
Yeah, and I think that's really what Nicole mentioned, is that's the heart of what we try to do. I mean, we treat everyone with dignity and respect who walk in, not just for our housing stability program, but for our transformational housing program. And we try to really meet them where they are and help them really understand that anyone can be in this situation. I mean, any of us could be in this situation. So it's really about meeting people where they are and helping them foster and grow and become self-sufficient again. So, and thanks again to Doug and Julie and our transformational housing direct service staff that work with families each and every day in doing that.
That's the team that I work for. It's just a wonderful team to be part of. It always makes me emotional. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Maurice and Nicole. What I'd like to do is just to share, I know we're heading up towards our time here. I'd like to share a little bit with you in regards to our 33rd Annual Gourmet. And as you know, it is once again online this year due to the pandemic and the situation, and to make sure that everybody is safe in our supporters and our staff, we are hosting our event online. The proceeds from this benefit local families at risk of homelessness. So it's exciting to see that we'll have unique getaways and home improvement packages. We'll have fine jewelry, memorabilia. We'll also have our famous pick-a-purse and our golden brick raffle. So for our gourmet, these are our online sponsors here. You can find this online at tinyurl.com/gourmet-21, and we'll be placing that in the chat for you to see. And just in addition to that, to also keep the integrity of our gourmet event, which has always been local chefs. We've usually had 19 or 20 chefs come and participate at the National Country Club, and they've always shared their signature dishes and food. So to keep that integrity of the gourmet, this year we're going to have gourmet meals prepared by our local chefs, Michael Buckley of Surf, we have Stella Blue, we have the National Country Club, and we have Celebrations Distinctive Catering. They will be having a meal online, and part of the proceeds will help the chefs, and proceeds will also help the front door agencies. Right now, I'd like to recognize a few of our gourmet auction sponsors and suite sponsors in attendance. We have AmeriHealth Caritas, Annette Kerman, Jasmine Harris, and Stephanie Dahlberg. Thank you so much for your support. We truly appreciate your continuation of your generous support. We also have Claudia Brooks from New Hampshire Healthy Families, and one of our suite sponsors, Dawn Beers from Franklin Savings Bank. So thank you again for your support. We also have additional gourmet sponsorships and our fund a need as part of this that are vital to the event's success, and it directly benefits the Housing Stability Program, which Doug spoke about. It's ultimately helping families in Greater Nashua. We're still looking for additional sponsorships in becoming part of this dynamic group of champions in support of the gourmet. Also in attendance today, thank you very much for joining us, Chase Bank. I have Jonathan Lakazik, if I'm saying that correctly, Marianne DeColinero, and Joshua Diamano. So I would like to thank all of you for joining us this morning. And I'm curious if anyone has any additional questions that they'd like to ask, Maurice or Nicole or Doug, open to the floor. I guess not.
One of the things I would love to ask or ask your assistance with is when our online auction is during 10 days in May, if you could share our link with your family and friends so that they could look at our items and bid for us, that would be fantastic. The more we spread the word out, the more results and activity we'll get. So thank you for considering that.
Absolutely. Our gourmet is in May this year. It will be May 6th through the 16th. It is online currently to take a peek. It's not complete, but we do have some exciting items there currently, and we will be continuously adding items. So I would hope that you would share, as Maurice asked, and it should be an exciting event. And again, this all supports our families in Greater Nashua.
Yeah, and please follow us on Facebook. Our Facebook and Instagram pages will have a lot of information of the auction and things coming on at certain times, and more about the meals that we'll have with the restaurants and recognizing the restaurants. So please, if you have a Facebook page or Instagram page, follow us or like us or whatever the term is with social media, and we would appreciate it.
Great.
And just thank you to Sherry and Nicole, our development team, because we couldn't help the families that we do help without their assistance and doing the hard part of raising funds to help the families that need it.
It's a little bit different this year, raising funds in the wake of this COVID pandemic. So it's tough. So if you could help us network and share, as Doug said, we'd like to get our reach out there to people who need our services, but also to people who will support the services that we provide.
I also just want to recognize Melissa Swidler, who's on the call. She's one of our board members and served on the board for, I think, 3 years now, Melissa.
I think it is 3 years. Yes. Good morning.
So thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Sure.
Any additional questions before we wrap it up? We're just about on our time. We try to be mindful of people's time, but we're so glad that you could take part this morning. Just sharing a little bit of information of behind the scenes, things that people don't normally hear about the front door. You know that we help people, but you don't know how. And I think Doug did a great job this morning explaining all of that.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
so
joining
much.
us again.
Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you.
Thank
Mary.
you.
Thank
We
you,
hope to
everyone.
see you soon.
Have a great
Thank
day.
you.